Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me. My name is Chelsea Lambert, and this is the first session of the day titled Microsoft Word Power Tools for Lawyers. So I really want you to get a ton of valuable information in a short period of time out of this particular session. So what we're going to be zeroing in on and focusing our efforts on today is the 3 or 4 most powerful tools. You're going to get a couple bonus features in today's session that are going to help you format in Word pretty quickly. We spend a majority of our day oftentimes in this application, and now it will be quick and easy for you to move through documents. And I'm going to tell you a little story about why I started teaching Microsoft Word. I was actually stuck at the office really late and was just super frustrated with Microsoft Word. Was stuck editing a contract until about 9:30 p.m., at which point I was pretty much ready to throw my computer out the window, and at that point in time really kind of drew a line in the sand and said, you know, I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm going to invest the time to actually learn the features and the tools so that I'm never stuck at the office that late again. And so that was about 10 years ago, and I've spent a lot of my time since then traveling around to bar associations, teaching Microsoft Word, teaching inside of law firms. And so what you're going to see today is a direct result of what I have learned directly from paralegals and legal professionals and lawyers, teaching them and training them, and what's most requested in the sessions that I teach. So we're going to get right to it. Now, the document that I'm going to be using today is a demonstration file, so I'm not worried about messing up formatting or anything like that. Before we jump into this particular document, I want to give everybody a jump start. And if you haven't checked out, you can actually go to File, New, and here is a library of templates. Now, oftentimes you just kind of buzz past this and don't look for documents inside of this area. There's actually a lot of great stuff in here. So whether it is a letter, it's going to search thousands and thousands of online templates and actually present you with letters that you can use and amend and save as templates on your own. There's an advanced session that I teach that'll be available in this course series as well that goes over how to create your own templates. But if you're just looking for something that's like a quick jump start, you can actually say contract, and it will pull up online templates. It will pull up, let's say, proposal. And a lot of people don't know that these are there and available for them. So I encourage you to check that out, and we're going to be using a regular Microsoft Word document today, and then we're also going to be using this document. So I'm going to go ahead and say create, and now this gives us 2 different sections to work in. So let's jump into the first one. The first one is going to be your format eraser. Now I call it format eraser because it really, I call it the magic eraser because it really is probably one of the most powerful tools in Microsoft Word. So you can highlight any section, and this is useful for a time when you've been fighting with a particular paragraph. If you copy and paste something from the internet and it just doesn't seem to go into the right place, the reason why is that there's actually 2 layers of Microsoft Word. The layer that you see at face value, what you're seeing in the document itself, and then all of the code that lives behind it. So the code that lives behind it can oftentimes try to govern the document. So when you copy and paste from another document, it could have previously been a Microsoft Word in an older version or WordPerfect document, and all of a sudden all of the text gets messed up. That's exactly what's happening. It's being governed by that underlying code. And so what we want to do is we want to erase that all the way down to the bottom. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the section of text that I want to use the magic eraser on, and it's located in the top left-hand corner of your home menu. Now your home menu contains everything that you would use for just everyday formatting, nothing advanced or insert tools or header, footer, table of contents. Those are all in other menus. What's located in the home menu are your formatting options. So I'm going to select the area of text, and then I'm going to click on the magic eraser, and it's always going to be the letter A with a pink, like a school eraser over it. And so when I do that, you'll notice what it did is it actually brought everything down. It even took away and returned to the default font that I have in my Microsoft Word account. And I'm teaching in Microsoft Word 2016 for anyone who's wondering what version I am in. And so now that I've actually removed all of this text, I can start to format it again. So if I want to highlight these sections, then I can either use my indentation tools or I can actually add numbers, and it will bring that back to a regular state of numbering with the proper indentation. And then I can highlight and say bold and turn this into a different font and start to really make the document look the way that I want it to. Now, what happens if you start to format a section of your document and you want the rest of the document to look the same way? So in line with the magic eraser comes a format painter. So the magic eraser and the format painter, you can use those two tools in tandem, one and then the other, to clear formatting from an entire document and then reformat entire sections by copying the way that you want it to look without copying the text. And so I'm going to actually break that down and explain that for a little bit. So you can see that I have reformatted this to look a certain way. And now I'll go down to the second section of the document, which is another feature that we're going to be covering today. And I want this area to look the same as the area above. So what I'm going to do is highlight the section of text that I want to copy the formatting, and I can access the format painter in the top left-hand corner by clicking on the format painter tool. Now there is another place to access it, which I'll show you in just a second. So I'm going to copy, or I'm going to turn on format painter here, and then I will go down to this other section, and now you see that my cursor has actually turned into a paintbrush, because essentially what we're doing is we're going to be painting the format, not the text, just the way that it looks, the way that we want the font, if it's bold, the size, and all we have to do is highlight that section, and now you can see the actual font has changed, the size has changed, and we'll get rid of this indentation to clean that up a little bit. So and just to go through that one more time, to erase the formatting, we use the magic eraser by just doing that one click after we've highlighted. And then if we want to use format painter, we can highlight that section of text. And now you'll notice the second location that I wanted to show you. So format painter can be accessed in that top left-hand corner, but it can also be accessed in this quick menu. And so when you highlight a section of text within a document, this will oftentimes show up. And in one of our other sessions, we actually go over how to use styles, which is kind of the advanced version of how to use formatting within Microsoft Word. You'll select Format Painter from here, and then take your paintbrush down again and write over that text. And you can do the same thing with the numbered section. So again, highlight that section of text, click on Format Painter because it's closer to where my cursor is, so you're going to save a few seconds instead of going up into that top left-hand corner. And you can also note that it's on. So if you ever wonder whether or not Format Painter is on, this entire gray box will appear around that icon so that you know that your painting tool is on. And then we will highlight that section. And if that happens to you, you can also just say undo. And the reason that's occurring is because these pictures are here. So I'm going to actually show you how to correct that layout. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually say in line with text, where now we can move this down, or you can also do text wrapping and move it down below the text. Or if it's fighting with you, we can delete it for the time being. And so here we'll select this area of text that we want to paint, click Format Painter, and now what it's doing is it's numbering from the line above, and we will just pull our menu down and switch to 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the Format Painter and Format Eraser. The next area that I want to show you is your Quick Access Toolbar. So the Quick Access Toolbar is this menu in your top left-hand corner. And the reason why I point this out is because we spend a lot of time in Microsoft Word jumping back and forth. So we jump back up to certain features. We go through all of these other menus. And you can save a tremendous amount of time by adding the tools that you use most to the Quick Access Toolbar. So if you find that you're going to use Format Eraser on a regular basis, you'll right-click and say Add to Quick Access Toolbar. And if you find that you're going to use Format Painter quite a bit, then you'll right-click and say Add to Quick Access Toolbar. Now I've also added Print, which is Quick Print. That's available here. You can add any feature in Microsoft Word. So if you use Track Changes quite a bit, or if you use Styles or Quick Parts or any of the other tools that we're going to be going through in our sessions, you'll actually be able to add those up at the top, and then you don't have to spend time looking for them in these menus. Now, I want to show you a hidden feature that most people actually don't know about. And before we do that, I'm jumping into the other document here. And we're going to just go through that Format Eraser and Format Painter one more time. So you can use this on existing templates. And remember, this was the template that I pulled from that Microsoft Word template library. Now, they have contracts, invoices, letters, pretty much anything that you would need. So you can see that working with something like this actually gives you a really, really big jump start in creating a document. I can't tell you how many hours it takes to build something that looks like this. And if you have this readily available to you, use it for your firm, use it in your daily work. It makes you look really professional, and you also don't have to waste a ton of time with formatting. So same thing here. You can copy any of this formatting and bring it down into another section. And you can see it automatically did the indentation and the bullet points. And at any point you can undo that. So I just wanted to show an example of, that it really can be used in any type of document with any type of configuration. So moving right along, we're going to go into shrink to one page. Now this is a hidden feature that not a lot of people know about. And what it does is, if you've ever had a situation where you have documents where you have like a few lines that just seem to run over on the page and they bleed, and there's not, like this would be a good example right here, where you want to keep this disclaimer with the table above, and it's not cooperating with you. So what you can do is, with this section, keep your page, or keep the page that you want to fit into one area in front of you. And now shrink to one page is actually going to be hidden in a list of commands that most people never find. And the reason is that if they were to actually put all of the features in Microsoft Word into your menus, you would be so overwhelmed that you wouldn't be able to find what you need to function within the tool. So what they've done is they've given you the option to customize your Quick Access Toolbar by adding individual commands. So we're going to say more commands, and I'll just repeat that one more time. We go up and there's this tiny little menu arrow. And just so that you know, anytime you see a line with an arrow underneath it, it means that it is expandable. Same thing with these boxes and the arrows that you see here. It means that there's an entire menu of advanced features that are available to you within these pop-out menus. And I'll just go through those after we add this option. So we are going to open the Customize Quick Access Toolbar menu option, and then we're going to say More Commands. And you can see that there is a ton of information here. Now, you'll see that it's automatically presenting you with popular commands. That is just the tip of the iceberg. You actually want to go to all commands. You can also sort by commands not in the ribbon or macros. So if you're a former Microsoft or a former WordPerfect user, that might be of interest to you. For today's session, we're going to use all commands. And in all commands, what we will do, and you can see just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of features here. We are going to scroll all the way down until we get to the S's. And we are looking for shrink to one page or shrink to fit, depending on which version you are running. Here we go. Shrink one page. Now, it's not enough to just highlight this. What we're going to do is we're going to say add. And now you can also see that these are all of the options that I have in my quick access toolbar. So shrink one page has now been added to my quick access toolbar. I'm going to say OK at the bottom to confirm that I'm adding this. Now I have the ability called shrink to fit. And notice they do have a little bit different name variations there. So shrink to fit. So I'm going to highlight the section of text that I would like to fit onto one page and click shrink to fit. And now what it has done, it's given me the ability to keep that on one page. I'm going to insert a page break here so that you can see that. And now what it has done is it has adjusted, I'll just zoom out for a second. It has adjusted the font just slightly in the section of text that I selected to make it fit into one page. Now I'm going to give you another example. Let's go ahead and use it here. By combining some of this text. Now, if you have images, that is going to play not so nice with you. So actually, let's go over here. I'm going to remove some of this text. Okay, and now I can use the shrink to one page. And it'll adjust margins. This is, I copied it, so it's giving me a little bit of a problem. But this will work on standard documents and anything that doesn't have, a really complicated image or template in there. So use shrink to one page anytime that you have that bleed over with text in a contract or an agreement. And then next we're going to jump into where you can find a lot of the advanced features in fonts, paragraphs, and other formatting tools. So we'll jump back into our help document, which will be available on the website for download. And if you're looking for a feature that you haven't seen in a while, or that's buried inside of another menu, what you can do is you can actually open up any one of these sections. So all of your fonts and advanced fonts or font options, such as spacing and positioning around paragraphs and number of spaces and style sets and defaults, can all be found within this menu. And I accessed it by opening up the font, the advanced font menu located here. So headings, anything that you'd like to have be a default for you, you can go ahead and select your font style, and then you can also say set as default in the bottom left-hand corner. So if your firm uses a particular set of fonts or you have a preference, this is where you go to actually set those as default, which is a good thing to do, especially if you're starting your own firm or you are establishing a style set for the office. You can actually go through the process of setting this up and then send out a memo to the team to set all of their fonts as a default. Next over is paragraphs. So this is where we're going to get into spacing before and after paragraphs, line spacing, whether you want single, double, multiple line spacing, and what you would like that set at. In this case, I prefer 1.5 lines. Indentation, so if you have a standard indentation, this is different than margin. I will go into where you can find margin settings and create a default for yourself in just a second. Indentation left and right, you can also mirror indents here, and then you can choose whether or not you want to add a space between paragraphs of the same style. So if you do a lot of agreements, exhibits, or briefs or contract work, you can choose those options here. And then line and page breaks. So window and orphan control. That's a excellent option to have set as a default. You can say keep with next paragraph, keep lines together, or put a page break before. So window and orphan control is when you have those paragraphs that bleed over into another page. You can set whether or not you want those lines to be kept together, or if you'd rather page break and then put them on those next lines, which is another kind of tag-along feature to the shrink to fit option. And then don't hyphenate if you have a lot of wrapping in your text. That's paragraph options. And then lastly, I wanted to wrap up today's session with a PDF tip. So we talked about the template library. We went over format eraser, format painter, and the shrink to one page. I want to cover saving as PDF, because quite often I teach Microsoft Word and find that law firms are sometimes printing out documents and scanning them back in to get rid of metadata or turn documents into a PDF. And there's actually built-in tools in Microsoft Word to do that. So let's wrap up today's session with a few minutes on metadata and how to save as a PDF. So there is a built-in inspection tool, and how I got to where I am right now is I can say File and just click on the File menu, which brings you into all of your settings and who's an author. And I was actually sharing this document with another teammate of mine. So I want this author to show as me. And what I can do is I can actually right-click and say Remove Person. And then I'll say Inspect Document. So two things there, adding an author, and I can add the original author as myself, which this is actually a really important thing to note, because if you happen to share a document with another attorney, or they give you a template from something, you want that author to always be you, because this is your work product that you might be billing a client for, that you might be submitting to the court. So change the author to yourself, and then click on Inspect Document. Inspect Document gives a few options here. We're going to go with the Inspect Document tool, and yes, I am aware. So what it is telling me is that the document inspection tool is going to look for any type of underlying code, any authorship information, changes that have been made by multiple people, editing dates, all of that underlying code that is kept track of as a Microsoft Word document is edited over time is going to be removed if we run this tool. And so you want to say yes. Now it's going through and it's offering you a lot of options here, and it's by default going to checkbox everything. So comments, revisions, versions, and annotations. If you are going through the process of finalizing a document, let's say it's been circulated multiple times with track changes included there, you will want all of those comments, deletions, additions, everything removed from the document before you turn it into a PDF. So what we're doing is we're stripping all of that metadata out, and then we're going to turn the document into a PDF. So I'm going to leave everything checked. That includes document properties, personal information, embedded documents, headings that have been collapsed, header, footers, and watermarks, invisible content. Now it's not talking about the actual footer, it's just talking about underlying information that might be there that would indicate a change or a previous version. So we're going to say inspect, and now it's running the tool, and it's going to come back and say, hey, I found XYZ. So it found some document properties and personal information, where the pictures were cropped from, authorship, document properties, as in editing times, creation dates, and those sort of things. Also XML data, if information was pasted from another source, if it was copied from another document, so on and so forth. So it's found those two pieces of information. I'm going to say remove all and remove all. Now notice it doesn't allow me to say done. It says re-inspect. And so I'll run that re-inspection tool. It'll start back at the top, inspect the document again, and now because it also found some picture crop information, it'll give me the option to remove and then re-inspect, and that brings us back to the top. So, and that is because I cropped one of the pictures earlier today before teaching the session. So I know what that one is related to. You can run the re-inspection tool as many times as you would like, or if you feel that you're in a place where you can turn it into a PDF and submit it to the other party or circulate it for review, we'll say close. And then lastly is how to turn a document into a PDF. So instead of actually having to print out a document and scan it back in to remove metadata and create something that is able to be circulated or submitted, what we will do is we will go and turn it into a PDF right from Microsoft Word. So I'm going to say File, Save As, and now I will be able to select from this download list PDF, and it's changed to PDF right there. I'll say save, and now it has actually saved a copy for me. And I'll open that. Give me 1 second. And now here is the PDF. So created for me without the metadata, because we've stripped all of that out, and I can circulate this. So before we wrap up today's session, there's another one right after this where we walk through Microsoft Word Quick Parts, where you can actually build a template library based off of paragraphs, clauses, sentences, addresses, things that you use on a regular basis. That's going to be starting here next. If you have any questions before we wrap up today's session, I try to keep these to around 30 minutes. Feel free to type them into the chat box below, or what I'm going to share is my direct email address where you can reach me if you're interested in a one-on-one session, if you have questions or follow-ups that you want to go over one more time. And then the PDF help guide will be available for download on the website soon after this course is over, I would say by the end of the week. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and enter them into the chat box. This is my direct email. You are welcome to contact me at any time for additional training sessions or for a particular question on Microsoft Word, so that can be helpful to you throughout your day. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. I hope to see you on the website regularly, and my name is Chelsea. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day.